Everyone, and welcome to another webinar by Royal Cyber. My name is Brijesh, and I'm an account manager here at Royal Cyber's Canada office. I'll be your host for the day. Before we start, if anyone is not able to view my screen or hear me properly, then kindly let me know in the chat window on the right side of the pane. The topic for today is headless commerce and its implementation with commercetools. In today's agenda, we'll be covering the basics of headless commerce, how it differs from the traditional implementations, its benefits, followed by an introduction to commercetools and how it's a game changer in today's e-commerce industry. Before we start, here's a quick introduction about Royal Cyber. Royal Cyber is an IT consulting and digital transformation company specialized in services and technology solutions based out of Illinois, US. Incubated in 2002, Royal Cyber has grown to be a 1,000+ employee company with physical presence in 8 offices across the globe. Royal Cyber's e-commerce implementations started 17 years ago during the times when third-party CMSs like Alfresco and Adobe existed. Eventually, our tech teams came up with many SPAs and hybrid apps to facilitate monolithic to microservices or loosely coupled systems. I'll be showing you guys a glimpse of our SPAs later on in the presentation. Royal Cyber has recently partnered and proudly partnered with commercetools as a consulting and a solution partner with an aim to provide more value to our customers. Speaking of which, I'm delighted to have today with me Brad Su as our guest speaker. Brad is a product marketing manager at commercetools based out of Germany, and he has been in the technology space for more than 10 years. Welcome today, Brad.
Hey Brijesh, thanks for having me. Looking forward to speaking with you.
Glad. So let's begin now. So what are the 3 key factors to e-commerce success today? It's getting ahead of competition, faster time to market, and increased flexibility. Customers today expect nothing less than personalized experiences which are connected across multiple touchpoints. They want a seamless omnichannel experience that is both relevant and engaging. And the solution to that is headless commerce. Headless commerce is actually a commerce platform that has a perfect front end simply by not having one. Now, it does not imply that it is brainless. It doesn't mean that there's no functionality behind it. It implies that the commerce platform actually becomes a service, or rather you may call it backend as a service, and the front end is decoupled. Now let's try to understand a bit more. The decoupling of front end essentially means that the front end and the back end function independently, which then helps in creating a personalized and connected digital experience across multiple channels. The head or the front end is the presentation layer of an application. For a website, it is the user interface with which the users interact with by clicking or tapping buttons. The UI reacts to their input by showing new information or performing tasks such as adding products to the shopping cart. Now, although the term front end implies a graphical user interface displayed on some kind of a screen, this is not the only possible interaction. There are many more variants of how a man-machine communication can be structured. Voice devices like Amazon Echo, Google Home, chatbots, digital marketplaces, in-store experiences like digital signages, guided sales tools, Internet of Things, displays in vehicles and variables, or in-game, in-app transactions. They're all such examples. Now, each of these interactions bring with themselves their own set of technical prerequisites and their own ecosystem, which can make it quite cumbersome for the developers to open a new front end for each of these. And that is where headless approach comes in. It sets the front end developers free from the conventions, rules, and structures from the backend. They can focus completely on optimizing the user experience. Going headless doesn't necessarily mean that you don't want to have a front end. On the contrary, it means that you want to be able to easily switch front ends or deploy new ones. The body or the backend is where it all happens inside your organization. It's the operational layer that contains all the business logic, which is responsible for the data crunching and the heavy lifting. The backend enables key functions like infrastructure security, rights management, master data management, product information management, inventory, warehouse management, pricing, taxation, custom information, and so on and so forth. Now, these business functions are enabled by solutions like ERP, CRM, PLM, MDM, PIM, and all of these are part of the backend, and these applications would be running on your servers or in the cloud. By going headless, these functions can run entirely separately from the front-end interaction, Whether an order is placed through a mobile app or put in the system by an inside sales agent, the backend processes it and then stores it. So we need a fast, reliable, and a flexible way to pass data from the front end to the backend and vice versa. And at the same time, we need to make sure that there is a clear separation between the two. And this is where an API comes into picture. Headless commerce architecture allows you to seamlessly connect the head of the body via APIs, thereby providing the flexibility to change and scale the customer-facing experience independent of the backend. By seamlessly blending commerce and content, transactions become relations. The headless commerce architecture allows you to experiment, quickly add new channels, increase your business agility, and scale efficiently. As you can see in the diagram here, the top portion represents the front end, which are the customer-facing touchpoints like the apps, IoTs, wearables, social devices, etc., while the bottom portion represents the backend layer. A headless commerce system works by passing requests between the presentation and the application layers through web services or API calls. So, for instance, when a user clicks a buy now button on their smartphone, the presentation layer of the headless e-commerce system sends an API call to the application layer to process the order. The application layer sends another API call to the application layer to show the customer the status of their order. A headless architecture delivers a platform via a RESTful API that comprises of a backend data model and a cloud infrastructure. Since the platform is not tightly coupled with a backend, e-commerce brands can deliver things like content, products, and payment gateways to smartwatches, kiosk screens, Alexa, and everything in between. The focus of headless commerce, therefore, is to unify all of these shopping experiences to facilitate the testing and changing of content and create an ecosystem where it's easier and faster to adapt to innovations. The headless architecture allows for rapid innovation and time to market of new functionality. In other words, headless architecture is built for the modern digital-driven landscape. Here's the difference between the traditional commerce and headless commerce. In the old way, we had commerce-led and experience-led implementations. In commerce-led approach, the e-commerce platform owns the direct interaction with the consumer, meaning it's responsible for delivering the customer-facing web experience. This is optimal for creating the best purchase flow, merchandising, and order management efficiency. But due to the tightly coupled nature, companies don't have the agility to move quickly enough to keep up with the customer expectations. Another disadvantage is that the brands are restricting their web storefront to the vendors' templates and functionality. Now, while these commerce systems are optimized for a more traditional product catalog experience, they're not really ideal for delivering content-rich experiences that enable brand storytelling. Speaking of which, we had content-led experiences or the experience-led platforms. Now, these models require a marketing-centric approach, as the storefront is built on the CMS. This approach helps brands craft content across touchpoints and engage customers with content-rich experiences. Again, this approach means that the storefront is tightly coupled to a backend application, limiting the business's agility and flexibility. Traditionally, brands opted for either commerce-led or experience-led approaches. However, the major drawback of these approaches is that they force the brands to prioritize either their commerce or content, when in reality, both are equally important. Add to this the fact that the storefront is tightly glued to the backend system, which makes it slow and painful to implement changes to the customer experience. Faced with the fact that customer centricity is imperative now, brands and retailers have been flocking to headless commerce, which gives them best of both the worlds. The API-led or headless commerce approach doesn't force you to pick between commerce and content, it gives you both. The decoupled storefront calls on APIs to expose commerce functionalities like product information, user profile information, cart, checkout. Now, while CMS is still in charge of delivering content and assets. By decoupling the customer-facing storefront, you get the freedom to deliver faster, more engaging digital experiences that seamlessly weave content and commerce throughout the customer journey, which with a best-of-breed approach. Here's a tabular difference between the traditional and headless. Talking about front-end development. Now, in traditional commerce, the front-end developers While working, they encounter a number of constraints when it comes to design and overall process. Any change which has to be made, it would require a great deal of time to edit the database, the code, and the front-end platform as well. Developers are also limited to what can be updated or edited without the risk of voiding a warranty or preventing any future upgrades. In headless commerce, with the removal of predefined front-end platform, it enables the front-end developers to create a user experience from scratch, which fits nicely with their core business needs. Now, front-end developers don't need to worry about modifying databases in the backend, as all that they have to do is make a simple API call. In other words, front-end developers are set free from shackles usually associated with traditional commerce platform. Now, the only drawback is that with no front-end presentation layer at all, front-end developers and marketers are left to build everything from scratch, from product pages to landing pages, everything. Customization and personalization. Now, traditional platforms are equipped with a predefined experience for both your customer and the administrative user. But these platforms provide little room for customization or personalization. Traditional commerce platforms constrain developers and users to what the software vendor defines as the correct user experience. With headless platforms, since there is no preset front end, developers can create their own user experiences from scratch. You can have more control over the look and feel of your commerce platform and also have control over the user experience for both of your customer and your admin users. Flexibility or adaptability. Again, since the front end is tightly coupled in the traditional solutions, this leaves little or no room for flexibility to make any desired customizations. To make a single customizations, developers need to edit multiple layers of coding between the front end right through to the database layer, which is very deep in the backend. The headless, you can make changes in the front end. You just simply need to have a front end developer. You can either make changes big or small. You can from implementing a custom checkout flow to adding a new field to the customer account without having to contact any of the backend team. Headless commerce today is one of the biggest buzzwords in the e-commerce industry. It allows your products, videos, blogs, and rich content to be presented and shared on any channel. Your content can be delivered anywhere and everywhere, blended with commerce. And with all your backend systems integrated with frontends, the data flows freely in both directions, which then enables data integrity and a 360-degree view through which you can make product recommendations. You can advertise retargeting. You can execute personalized marketing campaigns that stretch over different touchpoints. Whichever channel your customer chooses, you can present a seamless and personalized experience that leads to increased customer satisfaction and revenues. With the freedom to experiment, you can implement new user interfaces more quickly instead of installing and then maintaining a full stack software. The development then becomes much more efficient because teams can now work in parallel. Due to its decoupled nature, changes can be made to the UI without having to test all the core logic in the backend. Changes can be made on the fly to keep up with the speed of consumer technology. This will give you reduced time to market and also development efficiency. In a headless scenario, multiple frontends connect to one API and one underlying system. This makes adding new touchpoints easy, and you do not have to worry about maintaining a software mishmash. And if you're looking to set up a new international website, you can do that in a matter of weeks instead of months due to custom coding. It is imperative for brands today to make the switch to headless commerce, and here are the 7 reasons why. Going clockwise here, the first one is to go truly omnichannel without the pain. The first things first, a headless commerce content management system will propel your content anywhere and everywhere. For any commerce brand, that means delivering your products, product videos, or blog posts to any channel that has emerged or will emerge. So with headless, you can get ready to sell through Alexa skills, digital signage, progressive web apps, or even through refrigerators with screens. Second point, to remain competitive. A headless commerce platform enables you to deploy rapid updates to either the front end or the back end without impacting the other. And the changes you make can easily coincide with the speed of consumer technology. Major commerce brands using a traditional platform usually roll out an update every few weeks. Now, in comparison, Amazon deploys on average a new patch or an update every 11.7 seconds, reducing both the number and duration length of outages. When a front-end system is loosely coupled to the backend, you don't have to roll out an update to the entire system, but only to the relevant part of the system. So you can deliver what your consumers want more quickly and still remain competitive. For agile marketing, a headless commerce system can support new technology as and when they arise. Now, this is perfect for designing new customer experiences. This puts the marketing teams back into the driving seat where they can roll out multiple sites across different brands, divisions, and portfolios to make their customer experience more personal and consistent. Now, even though customer's needs they change over time, the customer should still receive a consistent customer experience across all the devices and channels. In addition, people want to buy from e-commerce brands which understand their needs across all the channels. Now, this goes beyond the usual people who bought X, bought Y approach. The backend already knows what a consumer has purchased, and then it uses this data to power the personalization engines, such as the CMS mobile apps or the other various social channels. For seamless integrations, by definition, a headless commerce solution must have an API, which makes it easier to integrate and communicate with other platforms. You can add your brand to any device, expanding your opportunities and outreach to more customers at the same time. Also, it won't take you months to integrate your commerce platform to a new device, just a matter of few hours. For even better conversion optimization, with a headless commerce in place, you can try and test different templates and approaches. For example, you could experiment with a different back-end search solution whilst running the same front-end search. As a result, headless commerce allows you to run continuous tests and optimization cycles, which will help you get a better understanding of your customer whilst improving your rate of learning faster than most of your other retailers. Faster time to market. If you do manage to build a multi-channel or omni-channel retail experience with a traditional commerce platform, your time to market will be painfully slow and scaling will be arduous. A headless commerce platform, on the other hand, enables brands to focus on building front-end experiences on different devices and touchpoints, as the content and products are housed centrally and delivered via API to anywhere. This facilitates faster time to market when adopting new channels, entering new regions, and so on and so forth. With this, I would like to invite Brad now into the presentation, and Brad would help us know more about commerce tools and how it's changing the domain. Brad, over to you.
Hi, Brijesh. Thank you so much for the introduction to what headless commerce is. Let me just share my screen. You're able to see it?
Yep.
Okay, sounds good. So again, my name is Brad Su. I am the product marketing manager at commercetools, a modern headless e-commerce platform company. I've been with commercetools since last year. I've had 10 years in the tech industry, and before that, I was a developer, website owner for the longest time since the Web 2.0 era in 2004. I've seen plenty of stuff happen throughout the internet, the different eras of the internet. And before we go on to talk about commercetools or just modern API headless platforms in general, I'd just like to give an introduction to what this landscape looks like these days, because as appealing as all of what Brijesh mentioned about headless commerce is, why would you want to go for that in the first place? Why not just stick with something that already works? And I'm here to tell you why. So things have changed over time, especially in the last 10 years. We've seen e-commerce boom a lot. Amazon, I remember back in 2010 was, they barely had warehouses for their products and inventory in California. You could actually buy them from outside the state and not get charged sales tax. And how far they've come today, 10 years later, and so have many other retailers, websites, and businesses that have their operations selling something online. In fact, a lot of retail businesses nowadays have become tech companies in essence because of how much reliance their business model has on the internet and digital transactions. And some of the innovations that we've seen in the last couple of years include like the introduction of virtual reality and augmentation. So we've seen companies, particularly fashion houses, introduce applications and technology that allows you to, for example, try on makeup, try on different shades of face cream directly on the screen without actually physically putting it on, saving the consumer a lot of time and effort. That's just one example out of many. There's also the increased accessibility and buying experience, and what that means is there's a lot more ways that people are able to shop. They're just, they're not confined to going to the store anymore or just going to a website. They might have a mix of those experiences. You might have digital signages within retail shops where customers are able to put in orders that they'll later receive at their homes instead of buying a whole bunch of things and carrying it out in person. There's also a lot more touch points that they're able to access. For example, almost everything has a screen these days. Your car has a screen. Your stores have screens. Sometimes if you're waiting for the bus or the train in certain countries, there are also screens to be able to buy your groceries, like in South Korea, for example. And there's just so many venues outside of just websites, phones, and stores that people are able to buy things from. And this kind of spells trouble for a lot of businesses that have their e-commerce platform stuck in the old era, because they simply aren't able to adapt fast enough. They have to start deploying to all these different screen-based devices, and also devices that don't even have screens. For example, voice assistants that have been becoming increasingly popular in the last couple of years. You can easily tell your Alexa or your Google device to put in an order for some groceries, for example. You could have your fridge kind of take stock of what's in it and potentially order new eggs and vegetables from there. Companies stuck in the pre-headless era have a lot of trouble coping with this because of how their e-commerce platform is just so tied down to serving desktops, laptops, and mobile. They're not designed for so many ways and places for people to buy things. On top of that, we've seen also some changes on the consumer end, which is like an increase in spending power. The amount of money, the dollar, the euro, the currency that you have today goes a lot further than it has in the past in terms of how much value that you get. For example, if you're buying a car today versus a car in the past, you get a lot more tech, a lot more bells and whistles in the modern day car for actually less money after inflation compared to the cars that you could buy 10, 20, 30 years ago. And that means that consumers are able to spend a lot more. They have been spending a lot more. We've seen this in various places. Some of them we never even expected 10 years ago, like the amount of power that these social media influencers have and the number of people who buy stuff from them. I'm not one of those people, but I'm surprised every time I see this stat, the number of people who are buying things from their favorite social media persona. There was also a lot more currencies that have been introduced, and I'm not just talking about cryptocurrencies, which took off a couple of years ago and kind of hit a big peak back in 2017, 2018, and have been somewhat floating along. I'm also talking about reward points. So this is a pretty big thing in the US and in Asia and even in Australia, depending on which country exactly we're looking at, but we've seen this kind of kick off businesses and help them expand their customer loyalty by offering customers points for every time they shop. So by kind of introducing that, they're semi-locking down that customer and giving them incentive to keep buying from their brand, their website, compared to that of their competitors. And this is something that e-commerce platforms have to handle as well. We have a customer in Australia that actually used the commercetools platform to facilitate like their entire rewards program. So everything on their website you could purchase using their rewards points instead of like the Australian dollar. How does your legacy non-headless commerce platform handle that? You know, with commercetools, it's as easy as, you know, just putting in an input, like changing the currency sign. Whereas with something from the older era, you might have to make a workaround hack to kind of substitute an existing currency with the point system that you have. And that actually brings us to the ways that people have changed in terms of shopping behavior as of the last couple of years, but especially this year. You've seen all these changes happen gradually in the last few years, but 2020 has really pushed that that speed at which change has happened to a level that we've not seen before. So we've had the pandemic kind of shift buying behavior a ton. People are eating out less in restaurants, they're dining out less, but they're also buying more groceries. They're starting to experiment with their own recipes at home, trying to eat healthier, for example. And you can see that there's, you know, a redistribution of how customers shop and where they shop. For example, with clothing brands, some of them are suffering because people are going out less, they need less clothes, whereas with the sporting equipment sections or departments, for example, those guys are seeing a boom because people want to be healthier these days. They want to go out and exercise. And with all of that, that means that businesses that never expected that amount of growth are suddenly getting these huge influxes of customers and buyers. And what that means is that their e-commerce platform has to support that traffic scaling, that the scaling towards the number of sales and orders that they get, the ability to add new products very quickly to cater to new needs that are popping up. There's also spending power that I mentioned. There's obviously a kind of, I guess, a roller coaster in spending power changes this year. Some people are making it really big, particularly because retail investing has kind of taken off, especially with Robinhood. There's also people losing their jobs and being able to spend a lot less than they used to. And overall, there's a shift in e-commerce. It has been happening in the last few years, as I mentioned, but we really have the pandemic pushing everything towards a more digital format because people want to stay safe. They want to reduce their physical interactions with another human being, and they're going towards more of online shopping, online deliveries. And in a few countries earlier this year, curbside pickup and click and collect really shot up in terms of usage. And a lot of businesses were trying to incorporate these click and collect as well as curbside pickup options as part of their checkout process. So they previously might have had delivery options for like different delivery carriers, UPS, FedEx, DHL, but now they had to add something completely different that was, you can purchase it now, you can pay for it now, but you could drive over to their physical premise and pick it up. Just step out of your car real quick and then pick it up from the front door of the business. That's something that, you know, previous commerce systems have probably never accounted for. And suddenly all these businesses are rushing to add these options in. And really how headless commerce helps out with all of this is that they're able to facilitate this add-on of new features, new capabilities. So what commercetools allows our customers to do is we provide the building blocks for creating that customer experience that they need, and we're not dictating the needs and features that the customers would have. They're kind of using the building blocks that we provide them with to create everything to their exact liking. So this is a big change from previous commerce systems where you're kind of served a number of features, kind of like how you buy a piece of software and the software developer tells you these are the features that we have, these are the features that we don't. That's a big hindrance for e-commerce because obviously every business has their different needs, their different requirements, different markets that they serve, and there's no one size fits all solution for that. Like commercetools basically is the antithesis to that. Instead of dictating the features that customers can or cannot use, we provide the base functionality and allow customers to very easily tack on the features and extensions that they want. Because we're API driven, because we're headless, that allows customers to kind of deploy new front ends, work our e-commerce platform with their CMS, with their payment processors, things like that. And this solves a lot of business problems because right now businesses are losing sales because of lockdowns, especially earlier this year, and it looks like we might unfortunately see that again as winter comes in the northern hemisphere. There's also scaling issues. Black Friday is coming, so is Christmas. There's a lot of shopping that happens in Q4 of every year where businesses kind of have to prepare to serve those huge numbers of customers visiting their websites, their commerce touch points, and be able to take in those sales in a way that doesn't crash the entire system. We've seen companies in the past make news headlines the week of Black Friday. Whenever their website goes down, they might be losing literally millions of dollars, and that's no good. And that's how headless commerce kind of comes in, as I'll speak about in just a bit. There's also time to market issues, which British talked about, unseen costs that older commerce platforms have, and this kind of deters businesses from getting their operations to fit modern requirements. And the cause of this happening is because businesses have been sitting and enjoying this comfort zone for the longest time. Again, this year has really pushed a lot of them to change and realize, wow, we need something that's vastly more capable than the piece of software that we've been staying with for the last couple of decades. And there's also business model changes, which I've spoken about in the previous slide, where revenue channels that are online and digital are taking that slice of the pie at an increasing rate over their brick and mortar counterparts. So modern commerce allows you to be more scalable, flexible, and modular. Again, we have our platform, which easily scales to handle any amount of traffic that our customers may have in whatever time of year it may be, whether it's a slow period or an extremely busy one like Black Friday. There's faster time to market, and they're always up to date with new features. So whenever commercetools or most headless commerce platforms deploys new features, they're automatically pushed to update whatever the customer is using. And it doesn't affect what customers have in terms of like custom functionality and extensions. Everything is pretty seamless. And this is a huge inverse of what the traditional updating model does, which is you have to wait for an update to be issued. You have to plan and deploy that update at a time where you would lose the fewest sales, and it pretty much involves a huge amount of risk management, and you're always going to lose out at some point in the end. Headless Commerce allows these updates to be deployed in the background seamlessly and without any downtime. Customers are also able to pay for what they need and extend their functionality in a way that's native to their business. So the plus side of Headless Commerce is that it allows businesses to develop their additional functionality that just their business needs and be able to incorporate all of that as a seamless native part of that e-commerce platform. So it's not like they're creating an extension that helps them do curbside pickup, but their employees would have to interact with a weird looking user interface because that wasn't originally part of the software. That's something that past platforms have done. This is what modern commerce does. It allows everything to look on brand, on point, and deliver a consistent user experience that doesn't frustrate neither your employees nor your customers. It's also built for new channels and fast changing business models. With all of that being said, that's pretty much what modern headless commerce does. It creates a great customer experience that you're able to serve to your customers. They're going to be able to use it in a really smooth manner, and you're able to work with it, not against. Like a lot of older commerce platforms work against you because they're always they're kind of confined you into their little walled garden in the first place, and it's hard for you to kind of break out of that. You're gonna have to find hacks and ways to circumvent certain things, try not to break anything that already works. Whereas modern commerce kind of lets you do whatever you want, and it works with you. So one of the things that is commonly talked about, not just in the commerce space, but in the general business ecosystem, is the term best of breed. And what this term means is it means that you're able to pull together a collection of the best software that fits the individual segments within your business ecosystem. So that's one of the things that commercetools is designed around. We realize that your commerce operations isn't the only part of your business. You also have your CMS that powers your website content. You also have your payment processors, where you accept credit cards and other forms of currencies too. You might have your CRM. You have a lot of different software parts within that business ecosystem. And one thing that companies of the past have tried to do is that they've tried to create this huge, enormous suites that try to address everything, but they're kind of a jack of all trades and master of none. Best of breed allows you to take that and flip it on its head by selecting the best software from the best vendors and putting those things together and making them work in a way that's fluid, high performance, and seamless. So what all that means is, in terms of commercetools, is that our platform is not only designed to be modern, we're designed to be used with other software. We have a huge partner network. We have different software companies that we work with our integration and extensions. And this allows commercetools to be extremely powerful because the developers within our customers' organizations are able to now work with commercetools alongside everything else that's modern in a way that's productive for them. And what that means is less downtime, more stable deployments, a lot more personalized, individualized customer experiences, and overall a lot more satisfaction among developers, which is a good thing because turnover increases cost of doing business, and that's one of the things that actually frustrates a lot of our customers who have come in from older platforms is that their teams have been leaving because it's been so hard to deal with these legacy software suites that they've been using. And by switching to something that's more developer friendly, they're able to retain a lot more of their staff. They're able to keep them happy, and those guys are able to focus on what they're doing and create the best customer experience for their customers. So we have our cloud native platform, which means that updates are always there. You're able to scale very easily. We have individually priced. We have individually consumable parts, which means that you don't have to use functionality that you don't want to use or don't need, and you can easily add on a new functionality that you want extra on top of that on your own in a very easy way. We're headless, as mentioned, and there's too many times that we've repeated the benefits of headless in this webinar. We create a lot of releases, so we're constantly up to date, and we're constantly pushing the envelope of creating more and more new features, and we're also backward compatible. So when we update our commerce platform, you can be assured that any custom functionality and implementations that you have had continue to work and stay that way. We're also programming language agnostic, which means you kind of can bring your own languages in to work with commercetools. This is unlike many suites, again, which may confine you to the languages that they use, or sometimes even worse, have their proprietary programming language, which means that you would have to hire specialized developers to work with their software. We're microservices based. This allows you to sort out your teams in ways that cater to individual services. So you can update different parts of your commerce experience without having to have these cross dependencies. This saves a lot of time and cost and allows you to deploy at a much faster rate with more stability. We're multi-tenant. That saves you a lot of money. And updates, hardware, you don't need to worry about hardware because that's managed by commercetools. And there's a lot of expertise that we have that would otherwise cost these individual customers a lot if they were to hire their own teams. We're also API first and API only, meaning that everything that we have, features and functions on our commerce platform, you're able to use them just by using APIs. You're able to call upon data and different sets of information like product information, for example, customer info, using APIs and then connect your CRM to it, for example. And all of this would be fluff if not for the fact that we have so many huge customers who are extremely happy with commercetools, and we've actually been named by the two big analysts, Forrester and Gartner, as a leader in the commerce industry. So we're happy to have this reputation, and we look forward to keep growing. And this is pretty much we're pretty much the star or shining example of why businesses need to move over to headless commerce. Of course, there are other solutions out there in the market, but overall, that's the appeal of it, right? Because it's not just a standalone push by one or two companies. It's a whole new generation of software companies that are trying to push towards this headless, more modular approach of dealing with software, so that businesses can focus on what they do and not try to patch and circumvent and wrestle with the software that they've purchased. So commercetools actually invented headless commerce. Our CEO Dirk Horish made commercetools first to market with headless and API-based commerce back in 2013. That's an interesting trivia. We also have a couple of commercetools specific selling points. that I want to talk about real quick. So we are a leader again in the enterprise commerce space. We've got a proven track record. We've got huge customers like Audi, Express, and many more that you can view on our website. We have a very well-established presence in the US and EU, so that's where majority of our customers are. And we've actually been growing the Asia Pacific and Oceania, which is Australia and New Zealand. These areas have been a new focus for us in the past year or so, and we look forward to continue growing around the globe. There's also API extensibility that we have a patent on. This was recently approved some 2 months ago, 2 months or less. And this means that this is kind of a testament to the innovation that commercetools brings to the table. Many new era software companies out there, just want to go out there to push a business model that brings them the most money by using a cookie cutter or fast, like kind of a shortcut approach to make themselves the most money. We are that rare company our size where we're actually trying to innovate and push for an overall better business environment for our customers. We have our philosophy for the commerce platform based on these 4 principles that we call MACH, which stands for microservices friendly, API first, cloud native, and headless. And this is a pretty relevant acronym for this entire webinar, because headless usually comes with API first and microservices and cloud native software vendors. And with that, we actually were a founding member of this MACH Alliance as well that was launched mid this year. And we're trying to educate the users and businesses out there on the various merits of using a headless modern commerce suite, modern commerce platform, as well as modern everything else like CMS, CRM, payment processors, everything else. We are also built to last, so we are very future-proof with many features. Again, you can feel free to create your own features very easily if you so choose to. commercetools doesn't restrict anyone from doing whatever they want in terms of adding functionality to the platform. However creative you and your developer teams are, we fully support that. We also have the highest GraphQL coverage in the commerce industry. What that means is GraphQL is a very high-performing data query, like a query language that was originally created by Facebook and is used by large corporations out there. Everyone from Facebook, Twitter, to many other businesses that you can look up. We support GraphQL because it allows you to query data and get back the exact information that you need. This is a layer that sits on top of your APIs. With a traditional API, you call for like a piece of product information, it returns everything to you. Well, you may just need the price and the name of that product. GraphQL allows you to call for exactly those 2 bits of information, for example, the product name and the price, and it doesn't get anything else within that payload. And what that means is that your response times are faster, you use a lot less data, and your e-commerce platform is a lot higher performing. Again, we are language agnostic, which means that you can use whatever programming language that you are comfortable with your teams. And we are also very well connected with other software companies, in the sense that we have a partner network that's huge and brings a lot of great functionality that you can use with our platform. So overall, we commit to building what brings the most value to our customers, and our commerce platform is a overall very great solution that you might want to consider using with your business. And we encourage you to sign up for our free fully functional 60-day trial at commercetools.com/free-trial. And with that, I'll just hand this presentation back over to Brijesh.
Now, here's a little sneak peek of our SPAs or single page applications, which our tech team has built on top of Commerce Tools. We have various SPAs for different verticals: industrial, retail, F&B, telecom, you name it, we got it. And instead of having to customize, we can have all these SPAs, which essentially work as plug and play for our customers. Speaking of which, we are now giving out migration packages to customers who would like to migrate from their traditional commerce platforms to Commerce Tools. And along with that, we are also offering a free 1-week discovery session wherein we'll help you design the best possible commerce solution for you. We can also get started with any of our already available SPAs and out-of-the-box Commerce Tools platforms for a fresh implementation in a matter of as less as 2 weeks. With this, we have come to an end of today's presentation.